Hey everybody, I don't know if you can hear me. There's the rumble of the motorcycle out back, the people that live next door with the motorcycle. I'm thinking it's talking about a motorcycle, just motorcycles in general. I've had family members killed on motorcycles, but at the same time, like, what the fuck with the motorcycles? I'll get into it later, some other video or something. But I wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking about. Namely because I drive so much. I drive like 1,300 miles a week for work. And one of the things that I do is I try to figure out what the fuck is the matter with people. Like, I don't know what's the matter with people. And I've gone over this. I don't want to beat a dead horse. But, like, the phones. I don't know. I've shown this to other people before. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. I have one of these because when the smartphones first came out, they were expensive, so I couldn't buy one. Then I started to watch what was going on with them, and I said, fuck that, I'm not going to get one. I'm not going to scan a QR code to attend a funeral. Sorry. And I don't know, maybe I'm just a curmudgeon, but I've also talked about the 20th century and the 21st century, and the 21st century is not cool to me. I just don't know what's going on. But I wanted to talk about empathy because I don't think people have it anymore. I think people lack empathy, for real. And it doesn't matter what persuasion you are. I know everyone's dividing up into camps politically, which is another stupid thing that never happened before, as bad as it is now. But empathy is gone. And I was trying to talk to somebody about this, and one of my theories was, and it's kind of like way out there. It's not like 3G network concerns, the 3G or 5G, 4G, I don't fucking know. I think my phone had 3G and I had to get another flip phone. But the brain waves, the cell phone waves, have they been affected? I remember in the 90s we talked about possibility that cell phones may cause brain cancer or may whatever. I don't know. I haven't heard anything else about it. I bet all that research was just chopped. Recently, but also in the past. If cell phone companies and technology companies felt like their products were dangerous, they would definitely not have anyone do any research on them. So my thought was, hey, maybe there is something to the brainwave patterns being disrupted by cell phones or whatever. And I'm not not one of the 5G conspiracy theory people, but we have to look at things like the EMF. That was a big talking point years ago. Should you live under power lines because the electromagnetic forces may interrupt or cause problems? Don't hear too much about that now. But it's probably because people lack empathy. And this is the theme that I'm thinking about, because I see people and I see what they do on the road. The number one thing that I say every day, all the time, all day long, is what the fuck is the matter with that person? And it contains anger when I say it, but lately I've just been curious, not furious. Curious. What the fuck is the matter with these people? And one of the things that I had thought, learning a little bit about meth addicts, cocaine addicts, heroin addicts, hard drug addicts, where the brain chemistry has changed. The dopamine. One of the things that I heard about was people who take meth. I sound like an old dude, but meth wasn't really a thing. There was crystal meth or whatever, but I was more into the hippie drugs in the 80s, mushrooms, acid, pot. So anyway, it affects your brain. Case in point, right there. Dopamine. The phone is dopamine. People are opening their phones, looking at their phones to get a hit of dopamine, to get that reward, to get validation or whatever. So they have to have their phones. I was thinking, why the fuck would someone just drive into a wall on their phone, knowing that they're risking their lives and everything else, and risking other people's lives? Oh, they must not have empathy. And it's pretty obvious that people are lacking empathy, or yeah, I don't know. Like there's just a lack of empathy coming from people who I wouldn't expect to have no lack of empathy, Anyway, to see someone like a little old lady, like my grandmother. Oh, I love my grandmother. My grandmother was a wonderful person. I don't think my grandmother would ever do what I see grandmothers doing now, which is like horrible driving into people, like just not driving well. And I'm not picking on little old ladies and grandmas, but it's because everybody, and it's the phone. I think it's the phone. I think that little hit of dopamine that everyone gets when they open their phone to look at their socials or whatever the fuck. I don't even know what people are doing on the phone. Are they looking up, information? Are they buying things on the interwebs? Are they talking to someone? Like, I don't talk to people like during the day that I have to. I call my sister, call my brother, talk to family, whatever, do mostly on the socials. But like, what are you doing on the phone in the middle of traffic? It's dangerous and you don't care. And I thought like that was callous, that people don't care. Now I'm realizing maybe they just lack empathy. And then I thought of the meth, people who have had trouble with meth. They get off it and they lack empathy because like their dopamine's receptors are shot, basically. So, say it's Christmas morning and you're like, oh, wonderful. They don't have that. They just like have, because of the problems that the drug does to them, which is like providing all this dopamine and then not, so then people need to get more of it to feel normal, and then it's not. And I feel that is probably what's going on with the smartphones. And it's really affected people. So I think in that way, empathy may be lost. But I don't know if, like, people's vibrations, and this is where it gets a little bit like, oh, I don't know. The vibes that I get. And I get vibes, and I give vibes. And, I give as good as I can take or whatever. But I feel that from people and from places, like, oh, this place is weird. I don't know what's going on here. Or, boy, I'm going to stay away from that person. Those are vibes, Lately, I want to stay away from everybody. But I feel like their vibrations are fucking off, And that also might affect the way people are. They're just sharp and jagged edges, and the vibrations are like, blah, 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 which affects also the way they behave. Like I see frantic. Frantic is a good word because frantic explains to me their behavior and maybe just their vibes. It's like this. It's like da da da, and maybe that might cause people not to have empathy. I don't know. Maybe it's a combination of all that, but I do feel that the smartphones are contributing to basically the downfall of society, and not only here, but across the world. And I'm not trying to be dramatic or not trying to be a Luddite or anything like that. And if you don't know what it is, look it up, but don't do it while you're driving, please. Thank you. Like, no one knows how to use a four-way stop either because they have no empathy. They don't know when it's somebody else's turn. They only know when it's their turn. So a four-way stop is just like a fucking clusterfuck. Every time I pull up to a four-way stop, I think I'm going to die or get T-boned. I shouldn't get nervous going to the fucking store to buy cereal. But I get nervous just going to the fucking Hannaford, the grocery store. But I feel like there's a collective problem with people. And I feel that the smartphone phenomena has caused that to happen. I feel like that people don't have any empathy. People's vibrations are off. People are like blah, 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 blah. I can't really explain that, and that's a lot harder to prove or to like discuss. But I do feel like people's brain waves may be affected by these phones. We thought in the 90s there was questions about whether or not it might cause brain cancer, and like we talked about the EMFs. Where's that research? Where did that go? Don't you think that if that was going on, maybe Apple or any of these other large companies would probably go try to squish it? or, try to, not fund research into this kind of thing. I wouldn't put it past them to just not disclose any information that they would have about them, because just like every other company, just like the oil companies who said the environment may have a problem, the internal memos pointed to the fact that they knew that their product and the way they extracted it was a big problem, and they just kind of what if the technology companies are doing that? I mean, if they had any information about the possible side effects of smartphones, don't you think they would try to keep that, under wraps? I do. So it's just a discussion. It's just something that I've been thinking about, and every time I'm on the road, which is a lot, I'm like, what does it matter with people, And now it's a little easier to be, to try to understand people. I think that's the biggest goal that I try to have is I'm trying to understand you. I'm trying to understand people. I want to hear what you're saying. I want to learn maybe how your thoughts work, so that I can anticipate, not for any nefarious reason or any reason to use it against you. I just want to understand you better, so that I know how to react. Because I guess sometimes don't react the right way to people. And it may just be some, spectrum issues or whatever. But I sometimes have a hard time. And, part of that's me. But part of that's just the unpredictability of people now. And it used to make me furious, and I would react and get mad. And now I'm starting to get to the point where I'm just curious, and that curiosity helps me from getting furious. Curious, be curious, not furious. It sounds dumb, but it works for me, so I'm using it.